Chapter 81. The Learning Place. Every soul comes into this world strengthened by the victories or weakened by the defeats of its previous life. Its place in this world as a vessel appointed to honor or dishonor is determined by its previous merits or demerits. Its work in this world determines its place in the world that is to follow this. Origin. I was in the learning place, reviewing all the knowledge and experiences my soul had acquired during my many reincarnations on earth. The learning place is like a huge university where all infinite wisdom, boundless enlightenment, and limitless knowledge are available. It's a place where you can meet and talk with other souls that have lived through many centuries and have made grand and immense contributions to humanity. I was preparing for the time when I would take a new physical body and return to the challenges in the universe. I had planned on spending perhaps 20 to 25 years in the learning place to carefully choose my next reincarnation, but everything was in a state of confusion in the physical world, and people had lost their sense of direction, their certainty, and their connection to the light. I rationalized that it was time for me to do something positive to help. I decided to visit Komotan. There were significant occurrences that I wanted to make him aware of. My soul sojourned as he slept, and I intruded into his dream. "Komotan, I have come to speak to you," I began. "Dr. Komote, what are you doing here? I am very exhausted. I went to bed early because I did not get any sleep last night. I felt as if I was possessed. I spent the entire evening researching facts and numbers. Were you sending me messages?" Komotan questioned. "Yes, I was communicating many of my thoughts with you, and that's why I'm here now. There are vital things I must tell you," I said. "Where are you coming from?" Komotan questioned. "I have come from the learning place, where I am gathering information and knowledge for the future. I have chosen today, February 20th, 2002, to communicate with you, because I didn't want this special date to go unnoticed. Today is February 20th, 2002. It is now 8:02 p.m., 2 minutes past the 20th hour, 20.02, of the 20th day of the second month of the year, 2002. 2002, 2002, 2002. The last time a similar palindromic situation took place was in the year 1221. That was at the time of 1221 on December 21st in the year 1221. 1221, 1221, 1221. The time, the date, and the year have formed a triple palindrome. And the most incredible thing is that when adding these palindromic numbers, we will reach the number 666 in a palindromic way. 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 6. Nothing similar like today will ever happen again until the next century, in the year 2112. That will be again like 1221, a triple palindrome. When adding the numbers, we will again reach 666. You must understand that if I came all the way from another dimension to talk to you, there are very serious issues we need to consider. You have a responsibility in this lifetime to do good deeds and follow your destiny. I am here to help you so things will be easier for you in your next life. We have the ability to create and change our karma. We are creative because we have the power to determine how we act or react to situations. We can change if we desire to. I know you have enough personal power to pull away from your weakness and perform admirable acts. People accountable to their own consciousness meet a higher moral standard than those who unethically embrace religious dogma, I said. "You sound just like you did when you were alive. I am glad that you're here, Dr. Komote, because I need to talk to you about the terrorist attacks in New York City and Washington, D.C., and about the terrible situations that we are experiencing throughout the world. Do you think something could have been done to stop what happened if the FBI, the CIA, or the President had used their powers to intervene?" Komotan asked. Nothing could have been done to change anything. Don't you think something could have been done to stop the terrorist attacks? Comotin asked again. No, Comotin, nothing could have been done. The event always will take place. Nothing can prevent an event that has already happened. Remember, the past, present, and future are happening at the same time, I explained. What can we do to avoid situations like that in the future? Comotin queried. Just remember that the spirit of the dead will always remain alive in the memory of the living. That will be their legacy to us. Now, all together, we have to deal with this terrible situation. In the 2 years prior to the terrorist attacks, 5 of the 19 terrorists lived and took flight training in South Florida, I commented. Back then you were still here with me. Now I am very concerned because these days I do not know who my neighbors are or what secret lives they may be living. You were right when you said that the battle between good and evil would start here in Miami. I can't believe all the destruction that's actually happened here in the United States. Nothing like this ever occurred in America before. Nobody feels safe. There were so many lives that ended so quickly. What does it mean? The president has announced we are at war, but who is our enemy? Comotin questioned. Forces of good and evil are fighting a battle, I answered. I remembered when you told me about the meeting you had with Father O'Brien concerning numbers. I hope you don't mind, but I went through your files and read that report. I remember that you told me he spoke about a book, Mohammed and His Successors by Washington Irving. I located a copy of it recently, and on the title page it says it was published in 1900 and lists the address of the publishers, R.F. Finno and Company, as 9 and 11 East 16th Street in New York. As I glanced through the contents, I was curious about Chapter 38. 3 plus 8 equals 11. This is what the book says. Comotin opened the book to Chapter 38 and started to read in a dramatic manner. The heading begins, An army prepared to march against Syria. Command given to Osama, the Prophet's farewell address to the troops, his last illness, his sermons in the mosque, his death and the intending circumstances. Now listen carefully to the text that follows. It was early in the 11th year of the Hijra that after unusual preparations a powerful army was ready to march for the invasion of Syria. It would almost seem a proof of Muhammad's mind that he gave the command of such an army on such an expedition to Osama, a youth but 20 years of age, instead of one of his veteran and well-trained generals. It seems to have been a matter of favor, dictated by tender and grateful recollections. Osama was the son of Zayd, Muhammad's devoted freedman, who had given the Prophet such a signal of acceptable proof of relinquishing to him his beautiful wife Zainab. Zayd had continued to the last the same zealous and self-sacrificing disciple and had fallen bravely fighting for the faith in the Battle of Mu'tah. Muhammad was aware of the hazard of the choice he had made and feared the troops might be insubordinate under so young a commander. In a general review, therefore, he exhorted them to obedience, reminding them that Osama's father, Zayd, had commanded an expedition of this very kind against the very same people and had fallen by their hands. It was but a just tribute to his memory, therefore to give his son an opportunity of avenging his death. Then, placing his banner in the hands of the youthful general, he called upon him to fight valiantly the fight of the faith against all who would deny the unity of God. The army marched forth that very day and encamped at Jorf, a few miles from Medina. But circumstances occurred to prevent its further progress. That very night Muhammad had a severe access of the malady which for some time had affected him, and which was ascribed by some to the lurking effects of the poison given to him at Khaybar. It commenced with a violent pain in the head accompanied by vertigo, and the delirium which seems to have mingled with all his paroxysms of illness. Starting up in the mid-watches of the night from a troubled dream, he called upon an attendant slave to accompany him, saying he was summoned by the dead who lay interred in the public burying place of Medina to come and pray for them. Followed by the slave, he passed through the dark and silent city, where all were sunk in sleep, to the great burying ground outside of the walls. Arrived in the midst of the tombs, he lifted up his voice and made a solemn apostrophe to their tenants. "Rejoice, you dwellers of the grave," exclaimed he. "More peaceful is the morning to which you will awaken than that which attending the living. Happier is your condition than theirs. God has delivered you from the storms with which they are threatening, and which shall follow one another like the watches of a stormy night, each darker than that which went before." After praying for the dead, he turned and addressed his slave. "The choice was given to me," said he, "either to remain in this world to the end of time, in the enjoyment of all its delights, or to return sooner to the presence of God, and I have chosen the latter." You see, Dr. Comoti, that all that about choices of life and death in chapter 38. It's amazing right now. I can't stop thinking about the number 11. I keep hearing about the number 11 over and over and over again on television broadcasts, radio reports, newspapers, and even on the internet. The twin towers of the World Trade Center, standing side by side, look like the number 11. And they were 110 stories high. 1 plus 10 equals 11. The next palindromic year will take place in 110 years. There are many reports on the news of the names of countries, the names of people and things that all keep adding up to the number 11. The date of the attack was 9/11. 9 plus 1 equals 11. The emergency phone number for help is 911. 9 plus 1, 11. After September 11th, there are 111 days left in the year. September 11th is the 254th day of the year. 2 plus 5 plus 4, 11. The area code from Iraq to Iran is 119. 1 plus 9, 11. The first plane to hit the towers was Flight 11. There were 92 people on board. 9 plus 2, 11. There were 65 people. 6 plus 5 equals 11. On flight number 77, the airplane that hit the Pentagon. New York was the 11th state added to the Union. The United States is a number 11, Comotin said. "What do you mean?" I questioned him. I was astonished. "Our country was born in July, the 7th month of the calendar year, and the number of the day is 4. July the 4th. 7 plus 4, 11. Or you could say the 4th of July, 4 plus 7 equals 11. Either way, we are 47 or 74, or 1111, the most perfect palindromic year in our contemporary civilization. Remember when Father O'Brien said that in the Hebrew Bible the covenant between Abraham and God took place in the Genesis in the Parsha heading 47 in verse 11? 4 plus 7, 11. I checked it, and it is true, Comotin told me. "What are you trying to tell me?" I was amazed at Comotin's awareness. "I believe without realizing it, our country may have established a covenant with God by being born on the 4th of July. I'm thinking that maybe heading 47 could equal the 4th of July. 4 plus 7, 11. And on the other hand, we celebrate Thanksgiving, our own covenant with God, in November, the 11th month of the year. That could be equal to verse 11. Furthermore, the July 4th Declaration of Independence was signed by 56 men. 5 plus 6, 11, Comotin said. "You're absolutely correct, Comotin. The light told me he wanted to stress the importance of the connection between the number 74 and English, and the first book printed in English was in 1474. The American continents were discovered in 1492. 9 plus 2 equals 11. But the first part of God's covenant with America became a reality 128 years later. 1 plus 2 plus 8, 11. In 1620, 1 plus 6 plus 2 equals 9. Pilgrims aboard the Mayflower spotted the Massachusetts land on the 9th of November, 9/11, 1620, and landed on the 11th of November, 11/11. 1620. 1 plus 6 plus 2 equals 9. The American Civil War was ended exactly 245 years after this event. 2 plus 4 plus 5, 11. The war started when 11 Confederate states left the Union and made it impossible to avoid a devastating civil war. However, the Civil War was the final civil war affecting the people of that covenant. The Light selected 1865. 1 plus 8 equals 9, and 6 plus 5 equals 11. 9/11. To put an end to that war. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution brought an end to slavery in 1865. 1 plus 8 equals 9, 6 plus 5 equals 11. 9/11. Before this event occurred, the Light designated the year 1847. 1 plus 8 equals 9, and 4 plus 7, 11. 9/11. For Frederick Douglass, the Black Crusader against slavery, to launch his anti-slavery newspaper. Also, Veterans Day is celebrated on the anniversary of the armistice that ended the First World War. In 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the world rejoiced the ending of 4 bitter years of war. Armistice Day was primarily a day to honor veterans of World War I. But in 1954, after World War II, the 83rd Congress, 8 plus 3 equals 11, amended the Act of 1938 to give recognition to all the American forces that had fought aggression in Korea by striking out the word armistice and inserting the word veteran. So November 11th is Armistice Day and Veterans Day, Camoten informed me. Yes, Camoten, there is a covenant between God and America, and I'm very impressed that you've solved the puzzle by yourself. But only time will tell if we are the country chosen by God to lead the free world. God chooses his people and his countries to be the leaders of the world. When an original covenant is broken, then God chooses other people or other countries to spread the word. It's karma. If we don't do what is expected of us as a country, then some other country will take the lead. I replied. There is more. Ali Khamenei, Afghanistan. Hamid Karzai, Afghanistan's president. Abu Zubaydah, Al-Qaeda's new leader. Richard Reed, the man who tried to blow up a December 22nd transatlantic flight with explosives hidden in his shoes. And Daniel Pearl, the Wall Street reporter who was kidnapped and killed in Pakistan, all had 11 numbers in their names. Mohammed Atta arrived at Miami International Airport on January 10th, 2001. 1 plus 10 equals 11. Mohammed, 7 letters, instead of Mohammed with 2 M's, 8 letters. Why? Jesus Christ and Jesus Christus, the Latin spelling, both have 11 letters, Camoten continued. Here are some additional facts for you to contemplate. Following the September 11th attack, 11 members of a Spanish Al-Qaeda cell were arrested. The Dresden synagogues were destroyed during the Night of the Broken Glass in November 9th, 1938. The Berlin Wall fell on November 9th, 1989. 11 years after the fall of the Berlin Wall on November 9th, 2001, the Dresden synagogue will be the first one to be built from the ground up in eastern Germany since World War II. Looks like 11. Christ had 12 disciples. Judas killed himself after betraying Jesus. There were 11 disciples left to spread the word of Christ throughout the world. The Quran contains 114 surahs, or chapters. 114 minus 4, 11 again. The 2 most popular sports in the world, the games of football and soccer, each have 2 teams of 11 players. They play each other 11 versus 11. Baseball, basketball, and ice hockey playoffs are decided by the best 4 of 7 games. Pope John Paul II, looks like 11, was shot by Mehmet Ali Agha, an Armenian Muslim. Before John Paul, there were 263 popes. 2 plus 6 plus 3, 11. During World War II, 6 million Jews were exterminated, I advised. Dr. Nostradamus and Apocalypses have 11 letters too. There are many unanswered questions I have concerning Nostradamus. He died in 1566. 1 plus 5 equals 6. 666. Are his prophecies enigmatic, real, or tricks? According to Nostradamus, the past, present, and future become one eternity. He believed that the future cannot be changed any more than the past. Was he traveling in a parallel universe when he was writing his prophecies? Nostradamus and the Antichrist? Are the prophecies a joke? Comotin asked. Well, Comotin, you will have to find that answer for yourself, I replied. Now, Dr. Comotin, open your eyes and listen. New York City, the Pentagon, George W. Bush, Ariel Sharon, Shimon Peres, Air Force One, Colin Powell, Billy Graham, Yamzi Yosef, Saudi Arabia, Jamail Ismail, Mohammed Atta, AMR Airlines, UAL Airlines, all have 11 letters. This appears to be more than coincidence. Now, I have developed my own theory. The first airplane attack was American Flight 11. The second airplane was United Flight 93. 9 plus 3 equals 12. The third airplane was United Flight 175. 1 plus 7 plus 5 equals 13. The fourth airplane was American Flight 77. 7 plus 7 equals 14. There is a pattern of 11, 12, 13, 14. If you take away 1, that leaves a code of 1, 2, 3, 4. This appears to be definite military strategy. Flight 11 took off at 8:01. It hit the World Trade Center at 8:48. That was 47 minutes later. 4 plus 7 equals 11, or a symbolic 4th of July. The attacks on the World Trade Center tower spanned 74 minutes. 7 plus 4, 11, or a symbolic July 4th. But, Doctor, the stock markets around the world, and particularly in the USA, seem to be under the spell of number 11. In 2001, before and after September 11th, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates 11 times. One way or another, the number 11 was present during the week following September 11th. At the end of the first week of trading after the attack, the Dow Jones dropped around 14.24%. 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4 equals 11. The Standard & Poor's dropped around 11%. And finally, NASDAQ, the symbol of technology of USA, fell 272 points. 2 plus 7 plus 2, 11. As I keep researching, I learned a lot. I read in the newspapers that on October 19th, 1987, the stock market crashed 22.7% in one single day. 2 plus 2 plus 7, 11. The worst decline in the history before this one was a decline of 15.5% in the week ending January 21, 1933. That's 1 plus 5 plus 5 equals 11. On the week ending November 8, 1929, the stock market fell 13.52%. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 2 equals 11. That was the time of the Great Depression, and the market was collapsing. Another disastrous week for the market was the mark that ended on May 17, 1940. The market dropped 14.24%. 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4, 11. The French army was collapsing as Adolf Hitler was triumphant. As a final note on the number 11, Adolf Hitler has 11 letters in his name, and there were 11 notorious Nazis brought to trial at Nuremberg. They were all judged guilty. One man committed suicide, and 10 were executed. In September 1972, 11 Israeli athletes were murdered by Palestinian terrorists. The Palestinian terrorist group was called Black September. I was so intrigued by Father O'Brien's discussion about palindromic numbers that I started to look for additional information about the palindromic years. Operation Desert Storm started in 1991 to force Iraq's Saddam Hussein, 18 letters, out of Kuwait. The Gulf War against Saddam Hussein was led by President George H. Bush in 1991, and 11 years later was taken over by his son, President George W. Bush, in 2002. In April of this year, Saddam Hussein will be 65 years old. 6 plus 5, 11. In July of this year, President Bush will be 56. 5 plus 6, 11. We will have 2 number 11s fighting. The circumstance of President Bush and Saddam Hussein being a number 11 at the same time will be possible for only 9 months, between July 2002 and April 2003. This numerical combination will never be possible again. We will have a double palindromic number, 5665 or 6556. President Bush will be under a double palindromic number 11. He is 56 years of age, 5 plus 6, 11, plus his name, George W. Bush, 11 letters. Also, listen to this, Doctor. Saddam was born in April, month number 4, and President Bush was born in July, month number 7. We have 47. 4 plus 7 equals 11, or 7-4. 7 plus 4 equals 11, Komotin went on. You're right, Komotin. The two number 11s will fight under a triple palindromic combination. The fighting will start before April 2003, and it will officially be over on or around April 28, 2003, the day of Saddam Hussein's birthday. However, the peace will be bloodier than the war. In September 2004, the death of 1,000 United States soldiers will be a sad reality. By September 11th, the number of U.S. soldiers that will be killed will reach 1,011. By the end of November 11th, 11/11, 2004, and just after the U.S. presidential elections on November 2nd, 2004, the number of U.S. soldiers that will be killed will reach 1,111. The war will continue for many more years. Here's something else to think about. Baghdad, 7. Iraq, 4. 7 plus 4, 11. The American policy will fail in terms of politics and security. The American analysis of the situation in Iraq will be totally wrong and will not be related to reality. In the year 2006, a report compiled by all 16 U.S. intelligence agencies will reach the conclusion that the United States prosecution of the Iraq War will be responsible for the worldwide diffusion of Islamic jihadists' ideology. At the same time, American citizens will be totally confused. In July of 2006, more than 3 years after the invasion of Iraq, around 50% of the U.S. citizens will still believe that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction when the U.S. invaded the country. Eventually, the sectarian violence in Iraq will descend into a full-blown civil war. The United States will be engaged in a long war involving many countries. In no more than 3 years, the whole world will be at war. Eventually, people will realize that this war is not about religion, and it's not about Muslim fundamentalists either. Rather, this war will reflect the growing battle over the world's scarcest and most strategic resources: energy, water, and food. Iran will be the next U.S. target. The Iranian president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, 18 letters, will call for Israel to be wiped off the map. The steps to war will follow the same path that led to the invasion of Iraq. First, the United Nations will pass a resolution demanding an end to Iranian nuclear weapons development. Iran will not accept the above resolution, and one more time the UN will fail to enforce the resolution. Then, without giving more time for further negotiations, the U.S. President will unleash the U.S. military's power and will attack Iran, I said. But, Doctor, in the international economic arena, Argentina started a revolutionary 1-to-1 peg of the local peso with the U.S. dollar in 1991. Economists worldwide praised the plan. People suffered with the plan for 11 years. The economic plan ended abruptly with a tremendous devaluation and chaos all over the country in 2002. The economy collapsed more steeply than the United States did in the Great Depression. Argentines vandalized banks because their lifetime savings were frozen. The unemployment and underemployment rate affected 50% of the working population. The country went to seek a kind of international Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, since it's not likely that the country will be able to raise more money. Chapter 11 is filed for bankruptcy. 11 again. And there was even more. In 1991, in Yugoslavia, Milosevic started a plan to cleanse the Serbian provinces of the former Yugoslavia. Thousands were killed and more than 800,000 were driven from their homes. In 2002, 11 years later, Milosevic was brought to trial for war crimes. Mullah Muhammad Omar has 18 letters. On September 11, 1683, Islamic troops were defeated outside Vienna. That defeat was the end of the Islamic military conquest. In 1991, a wave of religious violence started in India. In 1992, a mosque was razed by Hindus. In 2002, Pakistan and India were on the verge of a nuclear war. The Soviet Union broke apart in 1991. The communist experience lasted 74 years. 7 plus 4, 11. The experience ended with a symbolic free July 4th. 7, 4, 11. The Soviet Union has been the most powerful challenge ever confronted by Americans. God's number, 7 plus 4, have been proven correct one more time. Communism in China began in 1949. It officially ended in 1997, or 47. 4 plus 7 equals 11. Years later, when Hong Kong became part of China and the Chinese government officially recognized that there was only one China with two different systems. The exact phrase was, "One country, two systems." Again, the numbers of God, 4 and 7, are correct once again. The other communist experience challenging our country is Cuba. We will probably see the end of that reign of terror in just 4 more years, when the Cuban communist experience reaches 47 years. It will be the beginning of the end of the Cuban communist system. Fidel Castro, 11 letters, will be forced to abandon the presidency of Cuba, and a new democratic system will eventually arise in Cuba. A suit was filed in Sacramento during January 2002 against the California Youth Authority. The system consists of 11 prisoners, and the lawsuit was filed on behalf of 11 prisoners. The lawsuit contends inhumane conditions are pervasive, such as the use of cages and forcible injection of mind-altering drugs to control the behavior of inmates. I also read that the investigation of the anthrax letters led investigators away from the prospects of Islamic fundamentalists when they used the phrase "Allah is great" in English, and not the Arabic text of Allahu Akbar, 11 letters. I am certain there will be even more evidence showing up in the future. What should I do? Komotin asked. Read the Bible and try to find the answers, I have informed him. I have been reading the Bible. I believe that by combining Psalms 9, 11, 19, and 91, I found the prophecy of what happened in the city of New York and our subsequent answer to that. Komotin opened the Bible and began to read. Destruction is coming, but will not last forever. Cities will be destroyed, but their memory will not perish with them. You should be very careful with the lion and the snake. The young lion and the dragon will trample you under feet. Psalm 91. You need not fear the terror by night, or the arrow that flies by day, the plague that stalks in the darkness, or the scourge at noon. Psalm 91. 1,000 shall fall at your left side, and 10,000 at your right, but it shall not reach you. Psalm 91. When the foundations are destroyed, what can a righteous man do? Psalm 11. Destroy your enemies. They should fall and perish in your presence. Psalm 9. And for the leader, a psalm of David. Let them not have dominion over you. You shall be blameless, and you shall be innocent from any grave offense. Psalm 19. When your enemies retreat, they will stumble to their doom at your presence. Psalm 9, Komotin said. Well, Komotin, the Bible is subject to many interpretations, I explained. But listen again. The young lion will trample you under feet. Osama means young lion in Arabic. The arrow that flies by day. The 2 planes were arrows flying during the day. The plague that stalks in the darkness. That was anthrax. What does it mean? Komotin continued. There is karma for nations, including America. The Mexican-American War technically ended with the fall of Mexico City in September 1847. 1 plus 8 equals 9. 4 plus 7, 11. 9/11. When Mexico was defeated, it lost 40% of its territory to the United States. During this war in 1721, Americans died. 1 plus 7 plus 2 plus 1 equals 11. That was the first time in the history of the United States that the USA used military force for the annexation of territory from a sovereign nation. Also, Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto in the year 1847. 1 plus 8 equals 9, 4 plus 7, 11, 9/11. And the new communist doctrine went on to challenge the United States for 2 centuries. There is a universal justice which weighs the deeds of nations as well as men, and no nation may go against righteousness and against mercy and hope to keep its place among the leaders of the world. As I told you before, there are forces of good and evil that are fighting a battle. They will both have the same code name, and it will be 11. The number 11 has tremendous power, and it can be used for good or evil, I informed him. Dr. Camote, I have been reading, and I have more evidence to tell you. The number 11 is still present in our economy. As I told you before, in the year 2001, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates 11 times in order to stabilize the economy. The total number of people without jobs seeking employment at the end of 2001 and after the aftermath of the attacks increased to 8.3 million. 8 plus 3 equals 11. From 5.7 million in December 2000. In January 2002, and after the aftermath of September 11th attacks, unemployment reached 5.6% at the end of January 2002. 5 plus 6 equals 11. In 1991, Arthur Andersen viewed Enron as a key building block in its efforts to expand its international auditing business services of providing international auditing services along with traditional external auditing services. When Arthur Andersen started working for the internal auditing of Enron rather than physically separate internal and external auditors working at Enron to prevent conflicts of interest, Arthur Andersen followed a policy of culturalization of the 2 working teams. They placed the auditors, internal and external, on the same floor. Enron received $3.9 billion worth of loans from 1991 to 2001. Those loans were in addition to the $8 billion to $10 billion that the company disclosed. Between 1991 and 2002, Enron traded complicated contracts known as energy future derivatives. These contracts were not scrutinized by the government. These contracts eventually will become Enron's leading product. Standards for security were not followed, and when the company collapsed in 2002, it put a tremendous end to the market practices that started in 1991. If Enron had disclosed all these loans as debts, credit rating analysts and investors would have known earlier of the risks implicated in investing in the company. 29, 2 plus 9 equals 11. Enron executives and directors sold their shares from 1999 through mid-2001. The insiders received $1.11 billion by selling 17.3 million shares. 1 plus 7 plus 3 equals 11. Enron's collapse toppled economic myths. It was the biggest bankruptcy ever. Someone defined Enron as a mirror of the new economy, but revealed that the other side of the looking glass held a world full of tricks and risks. Enron made a market, and the market made Enron. Do you realize the Enron logo equals a Nazi swastika? Employee stock ownership was highly praised, yet employees lost their entire life savings, I said. The U.S. economy turned in its worst performance in 11 years during the third quarter of 2001, stumbling at a rate of 1.1%, 11. In 2001, the budget surplus was reduced 47%. 4 plus 7 equals 11. During Thanksgiving 2001, the number of people making purchases was 11% less than the previous year. The U.S. tourist industry was devastated by September 11th. As an example, Marriott International had its first quarterly loss in 11 years as business fell. During the period between 1991 and 2002, thousands of companies were formed that were no more than empty shells. They look good on paper, but no one can honestly tell you what they actually do. On September 11th, 1973, Salvador Allende was murdered in Chile by a CIA-sponsored military takeover. On September 11th, 2001, the building which served as CIA headquarters in New York and had 47 floors, 4 plus 7, 11, was destroyed. The CIA's undercover New York station was in 7 World Trade Center. The agency's operation was behind a false front of another federal organization. The station's main mission was to spy and recruit foreign diplomats, mainly from the United Nations, and business executives and other people who were willing to talk to the CIA upon returning from other countries. The CIA was founded in 1947. 1947 again? And did you know that this will be the 74th year, 7 plus 4, 11, that Hollywood has been giving out Oscars at the annual Academy Awards? Komotin asked. You've done a good job researching all these facts. On July 8, 2004, Kenneth L. Lay, 11 letters, founder and former chairman of Enron, will be indicted on 11 criminal charges, I said. Also, I remember another conversation we had about Father O'Brien. I have discovered some interesting information in reference to Ramadan. It is believed to be the month the Holy Quran was sent down from heaven as guidance to mankind, to be a declaration of direction and a means of salvation. In the year 2000, the Ramadan, the 9th month of the Muslim calendar, took place in November, the 11th month of our calendar, 9/11. In the year 2001, the Ramadan took place again in November, 9/11. In April 1996, Mullah Muhammad Omar, 18 letters, had himself named Amir-ul-Momini, Commander of the Faithful. The title is so lofty that no mullah in any Muslim country had dared to use it in more than 150 years. Omar believed he was chosen to be the continuation of the Prophet, Muhammad. Omar is showing off his cloak reportedly worn by the Prophet Muhammad. Muslim scholars believe the cloak had not been out of its vault in 60 years, but Omar was swirling the cloak around himself in his city of Kandahar. The police found Muhammad 11 scrawled on a curb near Atta's latest known address in Coral Springs, Florida. Muhammad 11 could be interpreted as Muhammad II. Perhaps he considered himself to be the successor of Muhammad. I read in the papers that right now there are about 30 wars going on over the world. In 28 of these wars there are Muslims involved that are either fighting non-Muslims or fighting other Muslims. Also, Dr. Komoti, I discovered that Mullah Omar and his 10-man shura, or council, 10 plus 1 equals 11, operated the government from Kandahar, the country's religious center, Komotin said. Terrorists have targeted not only our lives and property, but the fundamentalist values of America as well, especially the freedom and the equality that are the very foundation of our democracy. Terrorism is intended not only to destroy, but also to intimidate people, and to force them to take measures that will not be in their best interest in the long term. Komotin, sacrificing liberty will not make us more secure, but will weaken our democracy. Many people will be willing to sacrifice some liberties for the sake of national and personal security. However, security and liberty are not mutually exclusive. Lawmakers should protect civil liberties, but new laws may be passed with unusual speed and with practically no public hearings or debates. New military policies will be followed, and more powerful nuclear weapons will be created. Weapons that were forbidden before will be produced now. New experiments that were prohibited since 1992 will be executed, I commented. Dr. Komoti, I am concerned about the safety of our president, George W. Bush. He was elected president of the United States in the year 2000, and he will be under enormous danger, Komotin confided. I'm listening, Komotin, I told him. I believe he is under the curse of the Shawnee. Every American president lives with the knowledge that the curse of the Shawnee may be hanging over him. Two Shawnee warriors, Tecumseh and his twin brother, known as the Shawnee Prophet, led the Indians of the Northwest Territory to create a tribal confederacy that would fight and drive all white men off their lands. Then, on November 7, 1811, General William Harrison was attacked by surprise by the Shawnee Prophet. General Harrison fought back and drove off the Indian attackers. General Harrison took revenge and burned a nearby Indian village. Less than 2 years later, on October 5, 1813, General Harrison defeated Tecumseh in the Battle of the Thames. It was here that the curse was thrown by Chief Tecumseh while he was dying after the battle. This malediction foresees the premature death of presidents elected at 20-year intervals. In his final vision, Chief Tecumseh saw General Harrison becoming president and threw his curse. Everything started in November 1811. November equals 11 one more time, and 1811 equals 11 again, or 911. President Bush should be very careful if he wants to survive this curse. Since 1840, every 20 years, all the elected United States presidents have either been killed, had assassination attempts made to kill them, or died in office of natural causes. President Harrison died of pneumonia on April 4, 1841. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. He was assassinated in April 1865. James Garfield was elected president in 1880. He was shot on July 3, 1881. And he died on September 19, 1881. William McKinley was re-elected president in 1900, was shot on September 6, 1901, and died on September 14, 1901. Warren Harding was elected president in 1920 and died of pneumonia on September 2, 1923. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was re-elected president in 1940. He died of a cerebral hemorrhage on April 17, 1945. John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960, and he was shot and died on November 22, 1963. Ronald Reagan was elected president in 1980. In 1981, he was shot and wounded in an assassination attempt, Komotin said. We will go to war in the near future. This war will be the prelude to many other wars, and President Bush may very well be the product of a unique historical circumstance which may carry tremendous significance for the future of the world. There are 227 years representing universal ideals of freedom. 227. 2 plus 2 plus 7, 11. And 2 plus 2 is 4, and the last number is 7, the 4th of July. This covenant could be broken. The nation that ended all modern wars will start a new one. Millions will march worldwide waiting for a miracle, but the miracle will not happen. As I told you before, there is karma for nations. There is a universal justice which weighs the deeds of nations as well as men, and no nation may go against righteousness and against mercy and hope to keep its place among the leaders of the world. America is the world leader at this point in history. Our behavior in respect to law and war will cast a long shadow in the future. We should not embrace a policy of shoot first, ask questions later. On the contrary, we should seek a policy of human dignity. During the war in Iraq, there will be shocking evidence of sadistic abuse and sexual humiliation of prisoners. There will be photos taken and distributed throughout the world that will bring cries of outrage at the brutality displayed by United States prison guards. Prisoners will be forced to wear black hoods over their heads, stripped naked, beaten, and sexually abused. They will be tortured and ridiculed, their naked bodies piled one on top of one another in horrifying heaps. And then it will become known that a Pennsylvania prison guard in civilian life from the United States will be questioned about the disturbing photographs. He will answer that the Christian in him knew that it was wrong, but the correction officer in him says he loves to make a grown man piss on himself. The same disgraceful circumstances that will be uncovered in Iraq will also be taking place in American prisons. Eventually there will be investigations of violence by guards against inmates, overcrowding, poor food, and lack of medical care. The findings will show that guards will allow gang leaders to buy and sell other inmates as slaves for sex. When Bill Freeman will speak about the pathetic death of his son Henry in prison after inhumane treatment, he will finally be taken seriously. The consciousness of Americans will awaken. Many will realize torture is more degrading to the people that inflict it than to the people that suffer at their hands. These incidents will provoke worldwide animosity toward the United States because of the hypocrisy of claiming to be a champion of human rights. The United States will be called a surrealistic nation. This will prove to be a shameful situation. We know and understand that every violation is motivated by intolerance and a total lack of respect for others. We have a tremendous responsibility for the future of the world. In the world I have left behind, many people are afraid of the real truth. These people are more frightened of anything and anyone that might destroy their way of life or their actual order of things and concepts. Warning levels of different colors will become part of their daily life, and duct tape will become a household commodity. It's frightening to see the rise of anti-Islamism in our society, and the strong sentiment against people who may look Arab or just may look different, and to see that there are very few people who are willing to stand up and say anything. Today it is anti-Islamism. Tomorrow it may be anti-Semitism. And the day after, who knows? People are angry at terrorists now. But if our rights are terminated, that'll be the final victory of the terrorists. We will be vulnerable to terrorism if we don't change our attitude and we persist in the irrational fear of terrorism that has seized our nation. We do not want terrorists to succeed in placing our American tradition of tolerance and freedom under siege. It's important to remember the words of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." I was ridiculed when I was Don Quixote, and I was ridiculed again as Dr. Camote. Ridicule and intolerance are powerful walls erected by selfish and ignorant people when they think something can disturb or change what they believe. Look at the great souls of our past civilization, and you will see that no man who has ever accomplished anything of extraordinary value, either for himself or for mankind, has been understood, and in addition, he was ridiculed by many of his fellow citizens. Any individual who is a few steps ahead of his fellow human beings, either in his ideas or by his actions, will face opposition and have a difficult time. Always remember, Camoten, everything started with the written word. Religion started with rules that were written down, and through the centuries those rules decreed the rules that remained. However, everything you read is colored by your thoughts and interpretations. You go to Earth not to learn what is written on a piece of paper, but to choose the way you react to what is written. Whatever religion you choose to study or practice will lead you to your spirituality. All spiritual paths lead to love and kindness, and will help reunite you and be one with God. Everything is intent. If you have good intentions, the universe will support your dreams and desires. I know, Camoten, that in my next reincarnation I will be facing many problems, but now I understand that they will not be exclusively mine. I know from the beginning in the learning place that all these problems have been faced by many extraordinary individuals who have offered clarification and new ideas to fellow human beings in order to help them to advance one step further in their civilization. I still don't know the answers. I wish I had more time to spend in the learning place, but I am needed on Earth. I've made a decision, and that is to return in human form as quickly as possible, I replied. Will you come back to Miami? Camoten wanted to know. Do you still think I'm crazy? I questioned. Why do you say that, Doctor? Camoten was puzzled. Miami is the poorest big city in the United States. I don't think I deserve that. After all, I don't believe my karma's that bad, I responded. I'm sorry you feel like that. We have all worked together really hard, citizens and politicians alike, to become number one. What will you do? Camoten was curious. Once again I will follow my destiny, live my dream, and go forth as a valiant and errant knight to right the wrongs of the world, and to overcome evil. You see, Camotin, in one of my previous reincarnations, I really was Don Quixote, I admitted. What do you mean? I always thought Don Quixote was a fictional character, someone that Cervantes created, Camotin replied. That's what people think, but the reality is that Don Quixote did exist. During one of my former incarnations, my name was Don Delgado Quijano, and I was a friend of Miguel de Cervantes. In April of 1572, we joined Manuel Ponce de Leon's company of Lope de Figueroa's regiment, and we fought together for many years. We were involved with the capture of Goleta and Tunis. We were on our way back to Spain from Naples when we fell in with a squadron of Algerian galleys, and we were captured and taken to Algiers. That's when we were arrested, taken captive, and imprisoned. There were countless nights during my slumber when my soul would recall to me the lifetime I lived as Don Quixote. I would wake up with the memories of my adventures. There was little to do in prison except to talk. I spent many hours telling Miguel my recollections about my life as Don Quixote when I lived in Toledo, Burgos, Seville, and Salamanca. Miguel was a good listener and asked me countless questions. He took notes of what I told him. Eventually, Miguel's family raised enough money to buy his release. I remained a prisoner, impaled, and tortured to death. Miguel had written a few manuscripts before he wrote the book of my exploits as a knight on a quest to follow my dreams. So you really were Don Quixote in a former lifetime, Camotin exclaimed. Yes, and now I am ready to begin a new adventure. Camotin, you must be vigilant and safeguard against the enemy. Defend the rights of freedom and liberty for all. Watch closely for me, my friend. Peer carefully into the face of every newborn infant you encounter. I am on my way to yet another human experience, and I stand erect and poised in readiness to overcome obstacles and accept challenge. Don Quixote will be back, because he is now needed more than ever. But this time it will be different, I exclaimed. In what way? Camotin, during the next few years we are going to see many signs referring to number 11. Look at some of them. In an unusual political recall, Republican Arnold Schwarzenegger will become California's 38th, 3 plus 8, 11, governor. In June 2003, the Norwegian Nobel Committee will award the 2003 Peace Prize to Iranian lawyer Shirin Ebadi, 11 letters in her name. She will be 56, 5 plus 6, 11, years old, and the 11th woman to receive this highly honored prize. She will be a human rights advocate and a campaigner for Iranian children. A triple number 11 combination. A new original audio tape message reported to be Osama bin Laden's voice will call on Muslims to liberate the Islamic world from military occupation of the Crusaders. The tape will be 47 minutes long. 4 plus 7, 11. This 47-minute tape will be the sign to launch an attack against Spain, defined by bin Laden as one of the Crusaders. Bin Laden will claim Al-Andalus, Andalusia, to be one of the Muslims' territories that will eventually be liberated through the Holy War. The attack will take place exactly 911 days, 9 plus 1 plus 1, 11, after September 11th, 2001. The chosen place will be Madrid, Spain, 11 letters in English. And the date of March 11th, 2004 will be a perfect secret numerical code combination of 1111 and 911, I said. What do you mean? Camotin asked. Listen carefully, Camotin. 3/11/2004 equals 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 4, 11. If you remove the day 11 from the date of the attack, you will have 3 plus 2 plus 4 equals 9, and 11, or 9/11. The attacks will start at 7:39 and will be over at 7:55. If you add 7:39, 7, 3, 9 equals 19. You will get the number 19. And if you add 755, 7 plus 5 equals 17. You will get the number 17. When you add the two numbers, you get the number 36. 19 plus 17 equals 36, or 3 plus 6 equals 9. But the meaning of this number will be subliminally understood differently by the Spanish people. The number 36 represents one of the most horrifying numbers in the history of Spain, because that was the beginning of the most brutal civil war ever fought in Europe. The War of 36, also known as the Spanish Civil War, brings back terrible memories. That subliminal fact will be carefully chosen by the terrorists, and it will be a turning point in the Spanish political spectrum. The terrorist attack in Madrid will occur on a Thursday, the 4th day of a 7th-day week. 7 plus 4, 11. 11 million people will demonstrate in the streets against any form of terrorism. In all of Spain's history, there will never be a turnout like that. On that Sunday, for the first time in Spanish history, the Socialist Party will receive close to 11 million votes. The Socialist Party will obtain 164 parliamentary seats. 1 plus 6 plus 4, 11. But they will be 11 seats short of a majority in the parliament. Now listen closely, Camoten, and I will disclose something startling. What? 911 days between the two terrorist attacks is exactly 2.5 years. First, we have 2 years. That equals 24 months. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Then half of the year is 6 months. 6. Finally, the year this will occur is 2004. 2 plus 0 plus 4 equals 6. Number 666, the number of the beast. And yet, beast can also be interpreted as 11. In English, A to Z equals 1 through 26. Beast. B equals 2, E 5, A 1, S 19, T 20, total 47. Now take the revelation number of the beast in Latin, or DCLXVI, 666, and we get D equals 4, C 3, L 12, X 24, V 22, I 9, total 74. The combination of the English beast and the Latin 666 gives us the combination of 4774, or 47 plus 47, 121, or 11 times 11 equals 121. Camoten, I discovered in the learning place that the key to understanding our own reality is the numerically coded key 4774. The numerical combination of 4774 will be the key to the code 11. Pay attention, Camoten. In numerical English, Messiah equals M is 13, E 5, S 19, S 19, I 9, A 1, H 8, total 74. God equals G, which is 7, O, which is 0, and D, 4, equals 11. Messiah equals God. Jesus is J, is 10, E, 5, S, 19, U, 21, S, 19, equals 74. 7 plus 4 equals 11. Jesus' secret code number is equated to the Messiah and ultimately to God. Watch closely. Beast equals 47, and Messiah equals 74. 4774. They will be fighting. 11 versus 11. Now look carefully at this. Islam, I, 9, S 19, L 12, A 1, M 13, total 54, or 5 plus 4 is 9. Mohammed, M13, O0, H8, A1, M13, M13, E5, D4 equals 57. If you add Islam, 54, and Mohammed, 57, you get 111. If you remove both 5s, you'll have 4 plus 7 equals 11, I explained. What is the reason for deleting number 5? Comoton questioned. Not only to condense the numbers, but to understand that 5 is a sacred number for Islam. Their life is based on number 5. The 5 pillars of Islam are the basis and foundation of the Muslim life. Number 5 is a daily number for all Muslims. They must perform 5 prayers a day. For Muslims, daily praying is a direct link between the worshipper and God. God's number, 11, is a master number, and the key code used by spiritual seekers. Number 11 equals revelation and is a powerful number that cannot be broken down or added. It's a mystical number, Comoton. As you know, the year of the Declaration of Independence is 1776. That date, represented by Roman numerals on a $1 United States Treasury bill, is MDCCLXXVI, which translates in English to M13, D4, C3, C3, L12, X24, X24, V22, I9, and adds up to a total of 114. That is number 11 plus the number 4. These 4 numerals are shown at the bottom of a pyramid, I carefully explained. So what? Comoton asked me. Today the pyramids of Egypt are directly linked to Islam, and the Quran has 114 surahs, or chapters. In the future there will be more messages that will become apparent. 74 equals 37 plus 37. 37 is considered the number that represents man's crown, or man at its best. The Holy Trinity of Christianity is represented by the following numbers. The Father, 37, the Son, 37, equals 74, plus the Holy Spirit, 37, equal 111. Listen, my friend, and understand. Number 9 is a number which you can multiply by any number, and the final addition of the final numbers will always be 9. 9/11 was carefully chosen to make a very strong statement. 11 equals 7 plus 4 equals 74. Comoton, place 11 by 7 plus 4, or 74. Then multiply the number 9, September, by 74, and you will get 666. God's number will always be that of the Father and the Son, 74. Other messages will be sent to us by adding the number 37, and the number 111 will be obtained. 3 plus 7 equals 10. 3 plus 7 equals 10. 3 plus 7 equals 10. 7 is a holy number in the Bible. It's the perfect number. In the Bible, number 3 represents the soul, the divinity, and the number 30 equals truth. Pythagoras was right when he said that God used the number series as the basis for the creation of the universe. In numerology, using the life path number 666, 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. And therefore, 9/11 will be 666. 9 versus 74, 11. Comoton, the number 11 could be misleading. The true number of God to communicate with us is 74. It could be reversed or mirror-read and be the number 47. Number 11 will be used to challenge number 74. That also equals 11, adding up to 22. 11 versus 11. September 11th, 2001 was carefully planned. 9 times 74 is 666. And later in Madrid, the date March 11th was carefully selected by radical Islamic as well. 3 times 74 equals 222. Number 222 is the fighting of 111. Christian Trinity versus Islam Muhammad equals 111. Camoten, it will be your mission to let people know about God's numbers. You will be subjected to suspicion, ridicule, and even hostility. But God talks to us through numbers. Listen to God's numbers. I don't want to say goodbye to you without final proof of the power of God's numbers, I advised. I'm listening, Camoten replied. On March 11, 2004, during the terrorist attacks in Madrid, God will send a powerful message to all of us, I went on. What will it be? Camoten asked. The terrorists will use cell phones as a vital component for their holy mass destruction. They will connect the cell phones to bombs hidden in their backpacks. When the phones ring, 10 bombs will go off. The 10 terrorist explosions will blow apart 4 trains and kill 191 people. 1 plus 9 plus 1 equals 11. About 2,000 people will be injured. A few hours later, the police will find an 11th backpack. The terrorists will leave 2 other backpacks, but backpack number 11 will be a special one. Inside it, the police will discover a mobile phone. The phone will have an identity and a memory card inside, attached to the explosives in the bag. Police sources will say the explosives in the bag do not go off because apparently the terrorist will inadvertently set the timer for 7:40 p.m. instead of 7:40 a.m., I clarified. 7:40? Oh, my God, Camoten exclaimed. Yes, Camoten, oh, my God. God will be there. The 7:40, 7 plus 4 equals 11, bomb will be timed to explode at the moment of arrival of the train at the Attica station. If this bomb in the bag were to explode in the train station, the destruction would be more devastating. In this 740 backpack, the prepaid calling card will lead the police investigators to one of the ringleaders of the terrorist attacks. His name will be Jamal Zogan, 11 letters. There will be many arrests, and the terrorist leaders will die. They will kill themselves when the Spanish security forces will surround them. Do you understand, Camoten? I questioned. Understand what? Camoten queried. The significance of 7:40 p.m. The terrorists will want to set the bombs at 7:40 a.m., but God will direct them to set the time for 7:40 p.m. The terrorists will try to use the sacred number of God, 74, for evil use. That is the powerful message God is sending us. Do not take God's numbers in vain. Before I leave you, I would like you to think seriously about these numbers. There are dire circumstances that will occur. The world economy, led by the USA, will quickly go into a deep recession. Number 1. In the year 2008, the world's economy will be near collapse. This crisis will be provoked by the explosion of the so-called high-risk mortgages. This mortgage collapse will affect an important part of households in the USA and worldwide, bringing down or forcing a merger to important financial institutions worldwide. The brutal speculation in the financial and real estate markets will convert the global economy into a nightmare. Worldwide governments will come to the rescue, but they'll not be able to control the deterioration of the economy and an unstoppable surging in unemployment. Governments will apply very aggressive economic policies in order to rescue major corporations, but they will leave behind an important part of the population. The people left behind will claim economic policy changes worldwide. A new economy will arise, and many people will face the dilemma of working more hours but making less money than before. Number 2. In the same year, 2008, the USA will elect its first black president. During the next 8 years, this new president will be extremely popular, but he will not be able to complete many of the objectives of his political and economic agenda. The Congress and the Senate will be constantly challenging his initiatives, thereby leaving his legacy incomplete. Number 3. Racism and intolerance will reach levels not seen in the world for the past 50 years. The United States will elect a populist billionaire president who will bring the USA and the rest of the world to a continuous economic struggle. Finally, he will try to erase all the legacy brought to the country by the first black American president. Number 4. The United States will experience huge demonstrations against police brutality and racism that will divide the country like never before since the American Civil War. Number 5. China's economy will continue to grow exponentially and become the second economic power in the world, only behind the USA. By the year 2030, China will surpass the USA as the first economy in the world. A new Chinese leader will reach power and will terminate the aspirations of many people in China who are seeking for more political freedom. Hong Kong will be affected the most by this new Chinese policy. Number 6. A commercial war will erupt between the USA and China, and the two superpowers will be on the brink of entering a new Cold War that could lead into a military confrontation. Number 7. Populist politicians will take control of the government in many countries around the world. United States, Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Spain, Philippines, Poland, and Italy are just a few of the countries that will be taken by these populist governments, and subsequently a major level of poverty and a major social division will be part of the daily life of these countries. Number 8. In the year 2019, a deadly virus will start in China and little by little will expand around the world. Number 9. The populist governments around the world will characterize this virus as a hoax and will not take this virus threat seriously. When they try to act, it will already be too late, and what in the beginning was a sanitary problem will be converted into an economic problem difficult to quantify. Citizens worldwide will be forced to stay confined in their residences, and the largest forced confinement experiment in human history will take place. Populist governments around the world will take advantage of this situation to take away more and more people's freedoms. Number 10. As a result of this global pandemic, stock markets around the world will suffer a severe correction. However, governments around the world will inject enormous resources to help the markets, therefore creating a tremendous bubble. Number 11. The palindromic date. Palindrome is a number that can be read the same way from the front to the back and from the back to the front. February 2nd, 2020, or 02.02.2020. will be the most meaningful date to take into consideration for the beginning of the economic pandemical nightmare. The pandemic economic situation will be effectively over by the next palindrome number date that will take place on December 2nd, 2021, 12.02.2021. However, the devastating effect of this pandemic economic recession will be felt for many years to come. Komoden, there will always be chaotic and challenging times, but always have faith. I have experienced many things in the learning place. I've been given some of the secrets of healing by the light, and I have been asked to bring a message of hope to the world. Everything relies on the energy of the light. This energy is available to all that seek it. I am aware that we are all part of the light, and we control the destiny of the universe. It is my wish that you pass this meditation along to help others. Use this positive energy to counteract doubt and lack of faith. Close your eyes and focus on the brilliance of the light. Visualize yourself surrounded by radiant angels flying around you. They have been sent to bless you. Slowly relax and let go of any negativity. Let go of conflicting images of uncertainty, despair, and fear. Surrender to eternal love. Open your heart and mind to the light, and listen to the infinite knowledge deep within your soul. Repeat this meditation 3 times, like a mantra, and you will feel the presence of the light. All-knowing light, I call upon you for guidance. I believe your power is real, and that with your help anything is possible. I know that you're here to assist me on my earthly journey. I feel your divine presence, and I want to be healed. Create a miracle to help me. May your light fill my heart with goodness, faith, and love. May your compassionate angels protect me and keep me free from harm. I know that I am now needed on earth, now more than ever. I vow that I will return again, and with all my force defend the human race against terrorism or any other form of impending evil. When I have ultimately accomplished my final mission, then and only then will I, Don Quixote, be fit for immortality. Until then, Comotin, I loudly proclaim to the world they must heed God's 11th commandment. Do not take God's numbers in vain.